All right, let's talk about one of JavaScript's most interesting quirks, how it handles different data types. You know, when you're coding and your math just doesn't seem to add up right. Well, you're about to find out why that happens.
So let's jump right in with a little pop quiz. It looks super simple, right? We've got the string 50, notice the quotes, and we're adding the number 3. Go ahead, take a guess. What do you think you get?
The answer is the string 503. Yeah, if that made you do a double take, don't worry, you're not alone. What you just saw is JavaScript's automatic type handling doing its thing, a feature that can be a huge help, but also, as you can see, pretty confusing sometimes. So how in the world do we get from 50 plus 3 to 503? Well, the reason is actually a core part of the language itself. See, JavaScript is what we call a loosely typed language, and that right there is the key to this whole mystery.
What loosely typed means is that JavaScript tries to be helpful by making its own decisions about data types behind the scenes. It basically looks at an operation and tries to guess what you're trying to do. And in our little 50 plus 3 puzzle, its guess led to, well, a pretty weird result.
Now, this automatic guessing process has a fancy name, Implicit Coercion. So let's really dig into how that works, because this is where the magic, maybe the madness, really happens.
Okay, check this out. When we use a minus sign, JavaScript looks at 50 minus 3 and correctly gives us the number 47. But with the plus sign, we get the string 53. We're using the same two values, just a different symbol in the middle. So what gives? Why are the outcomes so wildly different?
Well, when it sees the subtraction sign, JavaScript's logic is pretty straightforward. The minus sign is only ever used for map, right? So it just assumes you want to do a calculation and automatically converts the string 50 into a number for you. No problem.
But the plus operator, it leads a double life. It's used for adding numbers, sure, but it's also used for joining strings together, a process we call concatenation. So when JavaScript sees a string on one side of the plus sign, it plays it safe. It just assumes you want to join things, not add them. So it turns the number 3 into a string and just smushes them together.
So this brings us to the most critical point of all this. You do not have to let JavaScript guess what you mean. You can, and you really should, take back control. And you do that with something called Explicit Conversion.
This right here is the golden rule. Instead of just hoping the language makes the right assumption, which, as we've seen, it might not, we can just tell JavaScript exactly what we want to do before it gets a chance to make a choice for us.
And here is exactly how we do it. It's super simple. We use JavaScript's built-in number function. By wrapping our string 50 in that function, we're basically telling JavaScript, hey, pay attention, this thing is a number, before we even try to do the math.
And boom, just like that, we get the answer we were actually expecting, 53. By explicitly converting that string to a number first, we get rid of all the guesswork and the operation works exactly the way it should.
And you know this works the other way around too. If you've got a number that you need to treat like text, like maybe you want to show it in a message, you can use the string function to convert it. The point is, you are always in the driver's seat.
Okay, so let's wrap all this up into a nice, simple rulebook. These are the main things you want to keep in mind to avoid these classic traps when you're writing your own code.
This table really lays it all out pretty clearly. You can see that just letting implicit conversion happen with the plus operator is basically a roll of the dice. So the takeaway here is really simple. If you're doing math and there's any chance you're dealing with strings, don't leave it to chance. Just be explicit. Use that number function and you'll never get that weird 10-2 surprise again.
And that's really what this is all about. Understanding the difference between implicit and explicit conversion, it's not just some trivia for coders. It's a really fundamental skill for writing code that is cleaner, way more predictable, and has fewer bugs. So from now on, you're the one in control of your data types.